My husband Dave, who works for BHA, and my sons David and Julian, who were together at school in the Palmerton School System. And I moved here originally to live on the Appalachian Trail. So if you know me from time, you know I do a few different things. I'm the trail lady, I'm the Red Cross lady, I'm the Times News lady, and I'm your election day constable. And in addition to that, I'm a piper, but I've been playing pipes in Palmerton the whole time I've lived here. So I started playing pipes in the Liberty High School regular band pipe band when I was a wee tot, and played until I was about 22. And then I retired because I had got an internship down in Washington, and I went to go do that. And when I came back, I met my husband, and I was going to meet my future husband. And I retired from piping when I had my children. And so I stayed away from piping for about 20 years, and then the pandemic happened, and my brother, who is also a piper, said, you should play your pipes again. And I said, oh, no, I remember how to play my pipes again. And I was a lot different when I was 18. And so he said, well, buy me a bottle of Everclear, some brushes, and buy yourself a new bag, and bring me your pipes. And he restored them. And I said, Paul, I don't know if I'm going to remember any tunes. And he said, well, just try. I said, well, here's the deal. I'm going to blow them up. If I can remember a tune, then I'll play again. And if I can't, I'll donate these pipes to a kid at Liberty. And so I blew them up, and the only song that I could remember was Amazing Grace. So I figured that was a sign from God. And so my neighbors on Lehigh Avenue have had the treat of having pipers in my yard, bagpipes on the porch, and all sorts of fun stuff that happens at my house. Fancy being my neighbor. So I am joined tonight by some of my friends from the Celtic United Pipes and Drums Band, which is based in Wind Gap. Our pipe major is Gene Kutzler, who is this fellow. Jim and I also play in a band called the Mackay Pipe Band in South Bethlehem, and Jim is the pipe corporal, and he's going to be talking tonight. Gene's going to be talking about the history of piping, and then Jim is a West Point graduate, and he's going to be talking about military piping. This is Jim Baldry. And then Jeff Nikozia is a brand new recruit. He's just moved here from Colorado. And if you like AC/DC and you like rock piping, Jeff is our guy. And he can play circles around us with the dance piping. And so he will be talking about different kinds of pipes and electronic pipes and what we call bag rock or Celtic rock. So. We're going to be talking and playing and doing a bunch of different things. There will be Q&A at the end. There are two handouts. One of the handouts is how you can get involved in Celtic culture around here. The Irish that came here to Carbon County settled in two places. Who knows where they are? Take one guess.
Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe. We know that because of the Mullen Choirs. But where's the other town?
Summit Hill.
Summit Hill, that's right. So we didn't have a whole lot of Irish and Scottish settlement here in Palmerton because we were settled by other folks, but Summit Hill and Jim Thorpe are Celtic areas. But one handout has all kinds of ways for you to get involved in the Celtic culture that surrounds you here in northeastern Pennsylvania. And with that, I pass the torch to Gene.
Good evening. The first thing we're going to do is talk about how you play the bagpipes. They're made up of a whole bunch of things, and they're always referred to in the plural as bagpipes. There's no such thing as a bagpipe because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pipes coming out of your bag. So the main ingredient of your bagpipes, of course, is the bag. And you have a blow stick, which you blow through, and you try to fill up the bag with air. Once you have it filled up with air, you stick it under your arm and you squeeze. And then the air comes out, all these things. And you have reeds in here. And so then they will make noises as you squeeze and the air comes out. Now that's called the tenor drone, and this is the bass drone. So of course you can hear that one's a whole lot lower. And the main chanter has a reed in here, looks almost like an oboe reed. It's a double reed. And this is what you play the tune on, and this is what makes all the noise. So get ready for noise. So there are only 9 notes that you can play on a bagpipe chanter. So that's why there's a lot of tunes and songs from America that you cannot play on the bagpipes. You can play them, but they sound horrible. So that's it, and what you try to do is blow up the bag, and again, squeeze, and then you have to replace the air that's being blown out, so you have to blow back into the bag. Stop squeezing, then they stop. Now, one other interesting thing is the blow stick has a valve in here, of course, so that the air cannot come back through and go up into one mouth again. So when you blow through, there's no air that comes back out when you're squeezing. So that's your bagpipes. The history of bagpipes, quickly, they started long time ago. There's actually archaeological digs and writings of bagpipes being in the Hittite group. There's, in the Bible, there's actually a couple verses that refer to a bag being played. So they start way back. The Romans had bagpipes, and as the Romans came up through Europe, of course the bagpipes came with them. Almost every country in Europe has their own form of bagpipes, and they're not like this. One of the ones that I know of is Czechoslovakia. They actually have bagpipe orchestras where, just like with your violins, violas, cellos, and basses, they have big bagpipes that play real low, and then they have smaller pipes that play high. So they came up through Europe. They came into Scotland, and when they got into Scotland, it is said that they actually only had one drone. So you only had the chanter to play and one drone. Most historians say the first reference in writing with bagpipes is around 1340, I think it was. From there, they evolved, and in the 1600s, there are pictures of bagpipes with 2 drones. And you didn't get the 3 drones until the early 1700s, late 16th, early 1700s. And they became the Great Highland Bagpipes. And that's what these are here. There are different forms of bagpipes, and we'll see when Jeff plays, he has a set of small pipes that are called. Of course, you have the Irish have a bagpipe called the Ilian pipes. They're played with a bellows, and so are the small pipes where they squeeze, and then they squeeze this arm. And they have a bag under this arm, so you have to squeeze, and the air goes across and fills the bag up. So you're doing this, and you're squeezing, and then you're playing too. And those are the Ilian pipes. In 1746, the bagpipes were banned in Scotland. The Battle of Culloden, England defeated Scotland there. And from that point on, they banned the playing of bagpipes, and actually they banned the wearing of the kilt until around 1780, when they were allowed to be played again. And that's basically when they started to become a military instrument. And that's where Jim is going to take it.
Yes, so as Gene said, 1746, after the Battle of Culloden, the pipes were banned by the Act of Proscription, along with the wearing of the kilt, unless, of course, you were playing for the King's Army. Then you could wear it. 1782, it was under Queen Victoria, that was repealed. And a lot of the reason because of that is the Highland clearances. They started getting rid of all the Scots. The Scots that had been loyal to the crown at Culloden, they got more land, more rights. So now you have people who were already loyal to the crown up there. You got rid of all the troublemakers, actually sent them over to Ireland and the colonies and Australia. During the act of proscription, there was one piper who piped with the Jacobites in Culloden, who was executed. He was his only crime was playing pipes during the rebellion. He was executed. There was one other one who was found guilty, and he was transported. I tried to find out where he was transported to, whether it was Canada or Australia or somewhere else. I know Georgia was another place that they would transport prisoners. I'm not sure exactly where he was transported. There were other pipers who were found guilty, served time, and then were released, and a few others were acquitted. So 1782, it comes back, especially during Queen Victoria's reign, as they're expanding the empire, pipes are very critical for morale, for entertainment, and also to harass and intimidate the enemy. If you think about that time frame, 1740s through the 1780s, what's going on over here? The American, first, it's the 7 Years' War, or what we call the French and Indian War. There were Highland regiments fighting for the king during the seven Years' War that played pipes. During our revolution, when we were on the other side, there were Highland pipes. They were on, like I said, on the other side. There were none, there is no evidence of either Highland regiments or Continental Army, or what we would call Patriot units, being led by pipes. Fast forward a few years, 1860s, we're now into, that reign of Queen Victoria towards the end of 1780, the 1830s, 1860s. The British Empire is expanding. They're going to Afghanistan. They're going to the Crimea. They're going to India. As they expand, they're taking the pipes with them. One of the most famous piping and fighting units is from that era, which is the Gurkhas. And they're from Nepal in India, and there's a gentleman, a British general or a field marshal, and he said, if you're going into battle and you're not afraid, you're either crazy or you're a Gurkha. Going back a little bit, although we did not have pipes in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, there is a piper at the Alamo who played, his name was John McGregor. The McGregor family was big piping family. We're not exactly sure which family he was from, but it's likely that he was the grandfather of a well-known and well-respected piper from the 1820s, 1830s. And he would play during the battle as the fighting would slack off. He and Davy Crockett would stand on the ramparts. Crockett would play his fiddle. He would play his pipes. And eventually he was one of the ones who was killed. So in our history, pipes don't really come into play until the middle of the 20th century. With the 1950, 1960, the Army has a pipe band, the Air Force has a pipe band, the U.S. Air Force pipe band played for John F. Kennedy's funeral. And one of the pipers who eventually became their pipe major, Sandy Jones, he eventually, when they disbanded in 1970, he went down to Citadel and became the band instructor at the Citadel Military Institute. And my first introduction to him was when the Citadel pipe band came up to West Point to play. And then he was also, up until about 3 years ago, was a extremely well-respected piper, both in the U.S. and around the world. And now we have what we have, which is in the Lehigh Valley, we have three pipe bands, Liberty High School, Celtic United, and Mackay.
So as he's getting ready to play Green Hills, some fun facts, in case you missed it. Bagpipes are the only musical instrument to be outlawed as an instrument of war, twice. And bagpipe music wasn't written down. So the way it was taught to me when I first learned by my first teacher, whose name was Scott Walker, is through a process called canara, which is the singing of bagpipe music. So when we're at band practice, the guys make fun of me because I'll start singing, oh, and I'll sing it because that's how we learned it. Queen Victoria put out a competition and she said, write this music down, because we have two kinds of music. We have pibroch, which is not spelled the way you think it is, and we have light music, which is what we're going to be playing tonight. Pibroch is classical music, and it's a variation on a theme. So you play a first set with a set of grace notes, those little blippy notes, then you play that theme again with a different set of notes, and that's very, very technical and very difficult to play, and it's also an hour long, and it doesn't actually have a thematic note to it, so it's not, you can sing along, it doesn't have a beat. So a lot of people, like my brother, think it's boring and horrible. I happen to love it. If I want to put people to sleep, it's what I play. And that music, compared to marches, strathspeys, and reels, we play for dancing, Great Highland dancing, or for Scottish country dancing, or just going to be playing across at the end, which is for modern dancing. Right? Those are different kinds of music played on different kinds of pipes. The military, because the pipes were outlawed in Scotland, only the military could play them in Scotland when they were outlawed, so that was a blessing so that they kind of stayed around. And as we're going to talk about, a lot of pipers write tunes because they mean something. Green Hills is an example. Another tune is Cries That Tumble Down the Mountain, which was written on the back of a matchbook during World War II. You know, there's a lot of examples of music that was created in times of war. So, are you ready?
Yes.
You want to add something?
Yes. On the handout that I gave, you'll see pictures of a number of pipers. In World War II, there were about 2,500 pipers, World War I, 2,500 pipers served in the British Army. Of that, 500 were killed. 3 received the Victoria Cross. 600 more were wounded. So you're looking at about 50, almost 45% casualty rate among the bagpipers. And yet, World War II, you still had pipers in the Army. There was a regulation they could not lead into battle. That was ignored by Simon Fraser, the 15th Lord Lubbock, and Bill Millen. That's the very last one. On that first page, I believe, there's a piper, and you see him standing, he's got a helmet. That's a piper in no man's land. He's standing there like this, he leads up. I've seen pictures where there's a piper and there's puffs of smoke going up, and he's leading. There's nobody behind him. He's out there piping alone. So, for me, that's what the spirit of the pipe is. When you hear it, if you're like, is, one of the things, especially in the military, when you have an army, they go out, they would get rations of beer or other types of alcohol. In the evening after the duty's over, they would gather around the beer, they would drink it. Yep. At the end of the day, they would sound a signal. In Dutch, it was called doden dat do, which means turn off the taps. That led to the British and English word of tattoo. And that is where we get the word tattoo, and that's where we end up with having gathering. First, it's just one piper. Start out with a drummer, then it's a piper, and then all the pipers will get together because there's beer there. And then instead of one band, you would have multiple bands, and that's why the gathering of military bands is called a tattoo. And typically, especially over in Edinburgh, which is the most famous one, that's why it's at night, because again, it's signaling the end of the workday, turning off the taps, and afterwards everybody gets to go to bed. Is he gonna go, or are we gonna do?
So, I'll talk and then we'll play. So if you've been to a service, a funeral, you might have heard a tune, and it is the #1 most requested tune. What is it? Amazing Grace. So, true or false? If you think this statement is true, raise your hand. It is true that Amazing Grace was written in 1586 for the bagpipes. How many say that's true?
That's not true.
How many say it's false? How many don't have a clue? So Amazing Grace is our #1 requested tune. If we go anywhere to play, anywhere, it can be a party, it can be a funeral, people want to hear Amazing Grace. And guess how long it's been popular on bagpipes? Since 1972. It is an English hymn. It is an Anglican hymn. I believe this was an Anglican church at one time, right? Right? So it was an Anglican hymn. It is an Anglican hymn. But it was made popular by a hippie band in the 70s. And the Royal Scots Dragoon, which is a military, is a side band to the military so they can raise money, because the military can't raise money, so they kind of have like a side band, like some of us on your sheet of things. The one that says Kill Dave, that's how you pronounce it, Kill Dave. That's like a side band to our other bands. They created a side band, they're very popular, they made records, and they re-recorded Amazing Grace, and now everybody thinks it's a Scottish standard. And it isn't. So we're going to play it for you, because we know you want to hear it. So I'll start in the joint. about like, who was the first kid who was like, hey mom, look at this. They got a ball down. Like, who invented that? But every culture has bagpipes. We have an Irish tradition here in Carleton County, and they have their own kind of pipes, bagpipes. In a minute, Jeff is going to be showing you different kinds of pipes. So over the course of history, people brought pipes with them as they migrated and moved around the world. And so we have the Highland pipes, which are what most people associate with pipes. Now, St. Patrick's Day is coming, but Scotland is a different country than Ireland. And they have not always gotten along.
Wait, what are you going to tell me this?
Get along now. But sometimes on St. Patrick's Day, you won't hear our second most popular tune, which is the one we played coming in called Scotland Brave, because some pipe bands don't play that out of respect for the Irish. So if you're at a St. Patrick's Parade and you don't hear it, that's why. So Mackay, for example, doesn't play that tune. Celtic United represents all of the 7 nations. So that's Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the Isle of Man, Galatia. What am I missing? Brittany. Am I missing another one? Wales, Isle of Man. There's some other. I said Galatia. That's always the one I forget, so I always make sure to say that one. There are 7 of them. So we represent all 7. So Gene tries to make music that represents each of them. Pipe tunes, like I said, come in classical versions of P-rock, or they come in the light music, which is what we've been playing. But the popular stuff, the stuff that makes, anybody go to the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert last week? Okay, so that kind of music, that dance piping, what we call Celtic rock or bag rock, that is very popular. So you have a handout that I passed around of how to get involved. You can join a pipe band, you can support a pipe band. We love when people come out and cheer for us. Celtic United plays a Celtic Classic every year on Friday night at the Cross on Main Street. We have a little concert, it's free, please come. We play in parades, so cheer for us when you see us. You can join the Scottish Society of Lehigh Valley. Jim is the past president, I'm past vice president. If you're a female and you're interested in Scottish culture, you don't have to be Scottish. You can join the Daughters of Scotia, which is a fraternal women's organization. It's based in Coopersburg, but I'm driving from Palmerton, so I'll take you with me. If you're Irish, there's the Ancient Order of Hibernians, a men's group and a women's group, and they're based in Allentown, and so all the links to those are on that sheet. And then there's ways to get involved in your heritage, in your clan. So you'll notice my kilt is Clan Young. My family is Clan Young, but when I had my DNA done for my 50th birthday, I found out that I was a member of 26 different clans. So we had a busy family, I suppose. Well, one of the reasons that happens is because if I live next door to Jeff and we don't get along, our clans don't get along, my clan chief is going to offer a daughter to marry over there, because now we swap tartans. We share tartans and a tartan knotting ceremony, and now this clan won't go to war with that clan. So that's why you see, if you do have Scottish and Irish heritage, that's why you might belong to many different clans. And so my biggest amount of DNA comes from Clan Armstrong, which were horse thieves. They are border Scots. They lived right on the corner, right on the edge of England and Scotland. And so they would just be loyal to whoever gave them money, because they were constantly trying to move that line between England and Scotland. So today, where's piping today? So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. You don't have to play the bagpipes. You can come out and support different bands, our traditional bands, and also modern music. So we're going to finish our night off with some piping from Jeff. I'm hoping to get Jeff into Off the Charts, because he does play a number of Celtic instruments and some Viking instruments. And as much as I would love to teach lessons, I don't really have the time. But Jeff taught in Colorado, and I think he would be sensational here. So I'm going to pass the torch to him to bring home. All right, Jeff, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Rich. All right. So I'm going to bring to you a very different kind of bagpipe, also from Scotland. Very, very small. Perhaps why they're called small pipes. Now, some of the Scots decided that they were too fair of face to be doing this business. So we got bellows. So we can smile, we can talk smack about the neighboring plant. Whatever it is that you fancy. As an asthmatic, I swear by this. I know, an asthmatic bagpiper, who would have thought about that? The fact of the matter is the bagpipe, they all share that same bag, which acts as a third lung. So that's kind of, once you master air pressure and all that fun stuff, that's how you can kind of start figuring out how to maintain those long notes. So now the bellows, you have to start bear with me, is now a fourth lung. And now you have to get the muscle memory there. Each one of you right now is taking breaths. That is muscle memory. You have to build that out of another arm. So now, I'm going to fire this up. I'm going to have to warn you. You heard all 4 bagpipes. These are the loudest. They're louder than all 4 bagpipes combined. You might want to plug your ears. I lied. So, the Great Highland Bagpipe over the years started in the key of A, unless I'm mistaken, and started climbing up in pitch. Nowadays, the key of A would be tuning around A440, 440 hertz. It climbs up into B flat. And now it's past B flat, somewhere between B flat and B. Don't know what that note is yet. So if any of you guys figure that out, please let me know. But so that sits around about 480 hertz. So that's a pretty high-pitched instrument. This is not a very high-pitched instrument. This is what makes it very ideal for playing with other instruments like guitars, fiddles, all that fun stuff. So they have a very mellow, somber tone to it. Also 3 drones, except one drone tunes very different. The Highland pipes, as Gene is holding right here, will have 3 drones, one very long and 2 very similar ones of length. They all tune to one note, A. So now the small pipes, as such, they have a bass drum and a tenor drum. They both tune to A, but then they have what's called a baritone, and that tunes to the E. So it provides a whole different dynamic for sound. It gives it a really nice little bit of presence. So it makes this tiny little instrument kind of stretch a little bit. So I'm going to put you a little tone. Very vastly different kind of instrument. Still the same principles, supplying air. And if you think about it, it's still a very primal, archaic instrument, but somehow we love it. So, I like to cheat.
Easy out the battle.
I have here a fairly new piece of technology. This is a fully electric set of bagpipes. Now, this thing is also very fantastic because it can also change its key. The key is what it's generally tuned to, and that's where it best functions in. So, pipers like playing around with that weird whatever, not B flat, but not B either, so some sort of weird in between. This thing can do anything. So. Still sounds like a bagpipe. Still moves like a bagpipe. These things can go all over the place. Now, a little fun thing here. Have you ever heard of bagpipe? That can sound like a video game. I swear to God, I swear to God. This thing has settings for dogs. Like, this is only for dogs. And this thing's if you go back a little bit to Gene's demonstration, he told you there were 9 notes. Wait a minute, wrong setting. There's a setting on here. I got them a week ago, full disclosure. I actually purchased them 2 years ago, but the only guy on the whole planet lives in Germany. So it's a big, long way to get there. But there's a setting where it just gives you, like, I think 5 other notes and jokes you straight up. So there's a lot more versatility to these things. So they're a lot of fun. Now, probably want to hear a little bit more than just joking around. So, how many of you guys know ACs? Go ahead. There's many other fun ways to use bagpipes. So now there's dancing, another type of gathering. Jim told you about the tattoo. I'm going to tell you about an entirely different kind of gathering. The Scottish call a ceilidh. And I'm just going to break it all down right now. Everyone says that you hear the Gaelic. It sounds elegant. It's just a party, guys. It's just an excuse for us all to get together and drink. But there's a lot of fun music. A lot of drinking and great traditions in drinking and food and drinking and just kidding, there's a lot more fun stuff in that. So, I'm going to play you a couple extra tunes. Now, first, you heard me play a little bit of that one AC/DC song, Thunderstruck on the Bagpipes. They can do a bunch of stuff. In fact, I got a question for you guys. Is it illegal to play country music on a bagpipe in Pennsylvania?
gathering, the tattoo. A little bit of music.
How many of you have Sunday dinners? Remember growing up with Sunday dinners? So Kaylee is like a Sunday dinner. It's what the Scottish do, the Celtic do. After their work was done for the day, they would go to somebody's house. The big meal was eaten at noon, just like the Germans do. Right, so it was a lighter meal, and the women would bring their sewing, and they would sit around and tell stories, and they would play music, and a lot of pipe tunes were written, just, out of the blue, to have someone like Jeff play a different tune, and then somebody else get up and play a different tune. If you've heard me in town, you know that I play on 9/11 at the firehouse. I play a tune called Fallen, and that was written in memory of the 343 first responders who died on 9/11. So I play that every year on November 11th because some tunes, dancing is fun, and then memorial tunes are great. So I always say I like to make people laugh, dance, or cry. So that's probably what the students think I do too. So, so we're good company. So we are so thankful that you had us here tonight. We want to open up for questions that you might have before we play a song going out. Anybody have any questions? Yes, Lynn.
How long have all of you been playing?
Jim, how long have you been playing?
This time about 20 years. I did play when I was in college, so that's where I learned the first time. I was in the Army, didn't have my own set. When I got out, I moved up here to Nazareth, and about 2005 is when I started this time.
Gene.
Before I answer the question, we wanted to show you, if you're interested in learning bagpipes, you buy one of these things. You don't buy a set of bagpipes. You buy one of these, which costs $80, $85. It's called a practice chamber. And this is what you'll learn to play with. Play a few more. So that's what you do. You don't get one of these first. You buy that and then take lessons.
They make adapters where this part comes off and it's all right in like a bagpipe. And you shut your drums off too. It's a great tool for mastering breath control and bag control. So like there's, it's not just the practice chamber. There's many other different tools that all revolve around the practice chamber. Basically, there's a streamlined way for you to learn bagpipes, however you're learning style is.
But to answer your question, I've been playing about 30 years. I started really late. I was like 45 when I started.
He's really old. I started when I was 13.
And how old is he now?
I'm 29. Julian and David turned 29. I was turned 30.
And after that, they'll be adopted.
And then
Right?
and how long have you been playing?
I'm pushing for 5 years, pushing 15 years.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
Nice. So any other questions? Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So you were talking about the bagpipe being played in the Army and during wars.
Yes.
You said they were used just for like morale and to annoy the other troops. Were any of it used for like cadence to help in marching or anything?
Yes, and especially in the Scottish Army, if you remember, the fife and drum that the Continental Army, the Scottish Army and the British Army would, and they still do. They use that for cadence calling, and there are a lot more military pipers in the U.S. military now than ever. We had soldiers over in Afghanistan, Iraq, who took their pipes over. I think there was a gentleman who went to the space shuttle or the space station, and he took his pipes. Can you imagine being in an area and do this like
Floating in space.
It's better than that one dude who snuck a gorilla suit onto the station and didn't tell any of his coworkers until I put it on and chased him around.
That's a great question. This one over here.
Will you be in the Allentown or Bethlehem St. Patty's Day parade?
Yes. So we are in the Bethlehem parade this coming Saturday down in Bethlehem. That's on Main Street going on the avenue on Broad Street going down into Main Street. And then Jim and I play in the bagpipe band, so we're doing the coronation on Friday night. And then Jim will be with Celtic United on Sunday, playing in that Allentown parade. I'll be with the bagpipe band on Sunday, but then with Celtic United afterwards, because we all pick different bars to play at, and I'll be playing with them afterwards. And then if you want me to play at your house, I will show up. And if it's nice out, if you want to hear pipes around 5 o'clock, when the weather warms up, I play the chanter in my house because I have infant living next door. We have a schedule, so I play after work out by 5 o'clock on the 500 block of Lehigh Avenue. Just go down to the fire department, you'll hear me. And then it's on Mondays and Thursdays when I play in practice. And then Amazing Grace is always the last song that I play, so that my neighbors know to take their chairs and play it on. So hear Amazing Grace.
And if you're in any of the bars around, especially down in Allentown, Bethlehem, throughout the next week and a half, she will be going to wherever they will give her a drink or.
This Saturday, we were playing with Celtic United, and I'm not a big drinker, but my boys are, so I will play for them so they can drink. We got 2 guesses, but I have a little method, like, oh, did you want us to play at your restaurant? We'll play in exchange for food. So it works every time. There aren't a lot of females in piping. When I started piping at Great High School, I wasn't the first female, but females were not allowed to play. It was kind of felt like it was like football, like it was just a boys thing. So I wasn't the first girl, but all the girls before me quit. All the guys hazed them until they quit. And so because my brother was a piper before me, I knew what to expect. So I was the first female pipe major at Great High School 100 years ago, and the first female to make it through without pay. So there are a lot more females. Celtic United has a ton of females. There's another one named Beth, who's a better Beth than I am. Now, your true Charles, we kind of come and choose like the arc. And then Micaiah, the only female piper. So it just depends. We have a great piping tradition in northeastern Pennsylvania. We have the 2 bands that we've talked about, the Hawk Mountain Highlanders in Kempton. Good Stout has a pipe band, a pretty big pipe band. There's the Scranton Black Diamonds, Keel Nave, which is a competition band. It is out by Lancaster. So there are a lot of pipers in this area. There's a ton down by Philly, Ulster Scottish. They're a competition band. Pipe bands compete. We're not in competition bands, but I think you were a competition piper as a soloist. My brother was a soloist. And you can compete for money and prizes, belts, and clasps. So, and beer. And beer. I play so that he can drink Guinness, because he's young. I will call.
And I will say, when I first learned how to play pipes, at the meeting to decide whether I wanted to play pipes, they said, we'll teach you how to play pipes, we'll play them at tailgates, and they'll give you free food and free beer.
That's true.
And that's been my...
And it's a part of Scottish culture, believe it or not. People say, well, why do you let the hikers stay at your house? Because we've been here since 2019, had about 600 hikers stay in our yard. And that's in addition to what they have at work, staying at Birds, right? So it's part of Scottish culture to be hospitable. So, if you come and ask for lodging, I'm not going to let you stay in my house, but you can stay in my yard, and I can allow you a shower and do your laundry. So it's very much a part of our culture to offer hospitality when we can, and to spend time with our families, our clans, and be connected. And doing these kinds of presentations helps us help others learn about their heritage. So we're so thankful to be here. Are you ready for us to leave? Any other questions? All right, well, we're going to leave. What are we planning? We're going to let the boss be the boss. Boss, take our flag. Wait, you can lead out.
I think I'll know.
We're going to show you how pipe bands usually start. Now, of course, you have snare drummers playing, and so you have to try to imagine drums playing.
Well, they could be the drums for us. I could teach them how. All right. So I need somebody who's a big mouth. Is there a big mouth in here? Lynn.
Yes.
You're going to yell from back there. You're going to say, by the right, quick march. Not yet, though. Okay, you're going to do that.
But you gotta say it to us like you're mad.
You're going to go,
Like you're.
by the center, quick march. Like that. Can you do that?
Oh, God. By the what?
We're going to do by the center.